Hello everyone, welcome to engpot. In this video, we'll discuss questions and answers of some important American writers and their major works. Before we proceed, a reminder to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Also, do watch my video on history of early Britain, in which I've also talked about Anglo-Saxon literature, which includes notable Old English poets, prose writers, and other notable figures and their famous writings. The link is given in the description. So let's get started. The American novelist who wrote Aerosmith, Babbitt, and Main Street. Sinclair Lewis. Babbitt was published in the year 1922. The year 1922 was significant when it comes to English literature. Ulysses, the novel by Irish writer James Joyce, was published in 1922. And another major work, that is by T.S. Eliot, the long poem The Wasteland, was also published in the same year. And Ulysses, the poem, was written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, and it was written in 1833 and published in 1842. Now back to Sinclair Lewis. His novel Aerosmith won the 1926 Pulitzer Prize, but he declined to accept it because he had not been awarded the prize for his novel Main Street. Edith Wharton's novel that chronicles the ups and downs of Lily Bart's life. The House of Mirth. Now, The House of Mirth is set in New York towards the end of 19th century. And The Age of Innocence is Edith's best-known novel, for which she received the Pulitzer Prize and became the first woman to win Pulitzer Prize. Now, The Age of Innocence is about New York high society during the 1870s. The book that fictionalizes the life of the author Louisa May Alcott and her three sisters, Little Women. And the novel has been adapted many times as a play, opera, radio show, and film. And the novel emphasizes on the importance of family. Now, Louisa Alcott May is the daughter of Amos Bronson Alcott, who was a major figure in Transcendentalism. 3 sequels followed Little Women, and they are Good Wives, Little Men, and Joe's Boys. The dark romantic who wrote The House of the Seven Gables, Nathaniel Hawthorne. And The House of the Seven Gables is a Gothic novel. Now, Gothic novel deals with the supernatural events, and it has elements of horror and terror in them. The major Gothic novels are Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto. Who made the comment that all modern American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huckleberry Finn? Ernest Hemingway. A Farewell to Arms is one of Hemingway's most celebrated novels, and it is about his own wartime experience. And the narrator is Lieutenant Frederick Henry, who was an American who joined the Italian ambulance corps as a volunteer. And A Farewell to Arms is divided into 5 books. Other major works of Ernest Hemingway are The Old Man and the Sea, The Sun Also Rises, For Whom the Bell Tolls. A gentleman can live through anything was one of Faulkner's famous quotes, and it is taken from The Ravers. And the protagonist of this novel is Lucius Priest, and the story centers around his transformation from childhood into adulthood. Who wrote the novel The Grapes of Wrath? John Steinbeck. And his other famous works are Of Mice and Men, East of Eden, The Grapes of Wrath takes place during America's Great Depression, and the protagonist is Tom Joad. And in the climax, you can see Rose of Sharon Joad breastfeeding a starving man. What is the real name of Hawkeye in the novel The Last of the Mohicans? Natty Bumppo. And it was written by James Fenimore Cooper. And Hawkeye is the protagonist of this novel, and he is also known as La Longue Carabine. Leather Stocking Tales is a series of 5 novels by James Fenimore Cooper, and The Last of the Mohicans is the second of the 5 novel series. Name the American author who wrote Winesberg, Ohio. Sherwood Anderson. So Winesberg, Ohio is a collection of short stories, and it was published in 1919. The book consists of 22 stories, and the first story is titled The Book of the Grotesque. Isolation, loneliness, inhibition, discovery, failure are the common themes. Here is a question that was asked in UGC NET. William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying contains one of the shortest chapters in literary history. And what is the sentence? My mother is a fish. Now these are words in chapter 19 of As I Lay Dying, and this chapter only says, my mother is a fish. Now As I Lay Dying is an account of a poor family in Mississippi, and it is set in 1928. And my mother is a fish are the words by the character Waterman, and he is actually referring to his mother who has died. And an important fact about Faulkner is that he frequently employed stream of consciousness in his novels. Name the short adventure novel written by Jack London that was set in Yukon, Canada. The Call of the Wild, and it was set during the 1890s Klondike Gold Rush. This is one of Jack London's most popular novels, and the central character of this novel is a dog named Buck.